She printed 2 copies, one to mail to Jessica, one to bring to her next appointment with Dr. Harriet Chen, no relation, the therapist Carmen had recommended. "You're angry, Dr. Su," Chen had observed during their last session. "That's healthy. Anger is often more useful than grief." Margaret had been skeptical at first about therapy. It seemed self-indulgent, especially given her dwindling resources. But Dr. Chen had helped her see patterns she'd been blind to. How her children had gradually infantilized her after John's death. How her desire to help had been reframed as incompetence. How their protection had really been about control. The next morning, Margaret dressed carefully in her best suit, the one she'd worn to John's funeral, and drove to her lawyer's office. Not David's firm, of course, but a small practice specializing in elder law that she'd found through the support group. "Mrs. Chen," Patricia Goldman greeted her, reading glasses perched on her nose. "You mentioned on the phone that you wanted to discuss your estate planning?" "Yes," Margaret settled into the client chair, her posture impeccable. "I want to understand my options for protecting my autonomy while I'm still alive, not just distributing my assets after I'm gone." For the next hour, they discussed advanced directives, living wills, and ways to challenge the financial restrictions her children had put in place. Patricia took careful notes, occasionally raising her eyebrows at particularly egregious examples of overreach. "One thing concerns me," Patricia said finally. "These medical proxy forms your son had you sign. Did you have independent legal counsel at the time?" Margaret shook her head. "David said it wasn't necessary, that he was looking out for my interests." Patricia's lips thinned. A lawyer having his mother sign legal documents without independent representation, that's ethically questionable, especially given the clear conflict of interest. Are you saying what they did wasn't legal? I'm saying we have grounds to challenge it. But Margaret, Patricia leaned forward, are you prepared for how your children might react? This would be a direct confrontation. Margaret thought of the wedding invitation she'd never received, of birthday parties she'd learned about through Facebook before being blocked, of Christmas presents returned unopened. "Yes," she said simply. "I'm ready." The legal process moved quickly after that. Patricia filed motions to review and potentially vacate the financial restrictions and medical proxy assignments. She also helped Margaret draft a new will, one that acknowledged her children but left the bulk of her estate to a foundation supporting elderly parents estranged from their families. The response was nuclear.